2017, shoot, I forgot what this was. A Hyundai. It's a Hyundai, so we don't even care what model it is. Insignificant vehicle. So what is this a good example of? So a collision repair. What do you see here that might be different than maybe some of the other videos I've done when somebody takes the whole front end apart? Look at the placement of the radiator and condenser. Now this is good technical mechanical practices for not damaging parts. You see how they have the radiator and the condenser suspended with bungee cords? They have everything level and straight, so they're not twisting and just allowing the heat exchangers to lie on the floor and twist the lines. This is how you take care of a customer's car and make sure you don't have comebacks, or a customer will incur losses due to failures of things like hoses that get twisted when they're old and it leaves the shops and they fail later on. So you have two AC hoses that could be damaged when they're twisted and allowed, especially when they get older. You have two radiator hoses that could get damaged. You could have transmission lines. You could have power steering hoses that could get damaged. You have your little radiator overflow line that could get damaged. Remember, these are exposed to high heat. They get old, they get dry, they get brittle. And then when you twist them by allowing a heat exchanger to land on the floor and twist the hoses, they may not fail in your shop, but 1 month, 2 months, 1 year later, they fail because of the damage that was started by the technician who did not have good shop practices. This is one of my favorite shops. This is a shop that I take my own cars to, and I recommend my family and friends to go to if it's close enough to them, because this is one of the better shops in the city. And so these are the kind of practices that you want to see in a body shop when it comes to taking the cars apart and hanging the heat exchangers so they just don't lay on the ground and twist the lines. I'm just performing a recovery right here. Already did the refrigerant analyze test. Pure refrigerant, R134A, only 2.5% air. Not too bad. And I'm almost ready. I'm downloading. I'm talking here. It's already to the point where I can put this on vapor and I could start taking refrigerant out of the liquid side now with no worry of taking out liquid with oil. And that's one thing, remember, when you do recoveries and use portable equipment, you always have to monitor, get your flashlight, look inside the little hole right here. And when you start taking up refrigerant that's in a vapor form, it has to pass the sight glass and then down the sight glass to come down here. Well, what you do is you look at and make sure you're not pulling out liquid, because if you're pulling out liquid, you're pulling out oil with liquid. And if you start pulling out with liquid, or you think you're on, choke down your valve either here, choke down your valve here, or you could choke down your valve. You could meter it right here to choke it down. So you do not pull liquid, because you'll pull oil out with your refrigerant. And as you can see, I'm just starting to pop into the micron range. I'm way beyond. The EPA recommends 15. Their set point for the new machines is at -15 vacuum. I'm way behind, beyond that at removing refrigerant with this equipment. This equipment is much better than anything sold in the automotive trades. Way surpasses any of their specs. And that's it for now on this one. Just wanted to show you good. Oh, one other thing. Let's get that down here. This is what you guys who are learning about variable control. Let me shut this off for a minute. That's just too loud. Variable control, and let me shut off. That fan is loud too. I can't stop the rest. But look at this compressor. Look right here. Let's get into that label right there. So if you're learning and you want to know more, go look up the part number and go to the manufacturer's website. This is one that has the variable control. As you see, this clutch, if you can see, if I could get you to see, there's no clutch on this. This is one of those constant velocity, those breakaway clutches. This compressor is spinning all the time. So even when the heat exchanger is removed and the lines are opened up, that compressor is engaged in spinning. Yes, it is at minimum displacement, minimum, almost zero, not quite zero, almost. And it's still engaged in spinning even though there's no refrigerant inside the system. But to learn about the oils and to learn about how the systems operate and what kind of valving, like this valving connector right here that you see right there, this is ice cold. Actually, look at, there's ice on it. Can you see that? You see the ice? That's ice. That's liquid refrigerant right there. And that means there's a lot of oil right there. And it actually turned into ice. That's how cold that is. So that means there's still liquid refrigerant trapped in there. And remember we were in the microns? The refrigerant is slowly boiling back out, just like carbonization inside Coca-Cola. When you release all the pressure and you put the cap back on, and then the CO2 bubbles out of the water and repressurizes your Coca-Cola bottle, same thing is happening. Oh, so getting back to that. Go to the compressor manufacturer's website and research every new compressor that you come across and teach yourself about the valving, the way they receive signals, the way they turn that signal, and that they mechanically displace the swash plate in there and change the displacement pressure. Teach yourself. Don't rely on, don't wait until it breaks. And don't be part of the problem that breaks it because of your improper procedures that you may apply to these newer compressors or filling procedures that you don't understand because you come from old school with fixed piston compressors with clutches. Don't fall in the trap with guys who with 20 and 30 years experience go, oh, I'm good, I've been replacing parts for 30 years now. I don't care if you're replacing parts for 30 years. That to me, it just means you're a good parts replacer. It has nothing to do with diagnosis or preventing the problem or being the one who actually causes the problem. So I got to turn this back on because we're way below the 15 vacuum now because there's so much refrigerant that is frozen up. Like you see that hose, the bottom of this compressor is all cold. If we could see through the dash at the evaporator, at the very bottom of the evaporator, there would be ice. All right, I got to click out and get on to work because I got a busy day today. See you guys.